Hi guys, so can you hear me and see the screen? So we will just wait for 5 more minutes and then start with the session. So once again, hello guys. We will start with our session. So basically, first of all, this is an introduction session in which we will basically take a quick introduction of what and why we are using these sessions and what this session will help with. So basically, as we know, most of our end sems are completed and we are currently in our vacations, and most of us have spent second year without doing any programming or anything. So kind of now we are regretting our thought that we should have done something programming. We should have chosen any one language and started with the programming. So nevertheless, it's not late yet, so we can start now and do with this thing. So basically, I also had plans to daily code 1 2 hours, but that wasn't possible because kind of daily life is becoming a kind of worse, because yeah, we can't manage our time we spend with other things. So with this initiative, I'm basically planning to give every daily 1 hour for improving our coding skills. So basically in this session, what would we do? We will choose one topic and then search for some questions online. There are various platforms such as CodeChef, Hacker Earth, Hacker Rank, Code Forces, Lead Code, etc. So we can surf over these websites and then choose one specific code, specific question, and try to solve it. We will discuss the approach and we will see various implementations how we can do that. So for this, a basic prerequisite would be you should basically know, either if you know the programming concepts, every loop, conditionals, and etc., then it is well and good. But if you just have a theoretical knowledge, then also that will be good. So that we will see the basic syntax, how this would work, and then start. So there is no any compulsion for choosing a specific language. You can choose any of the language. Just we will discuss the approach and you can implement it using your own language. I will mostly be coding in Python and C++. So I will switch around. So let's see. So first of all, let's just go to Code Chef and let's just see basically what all things, the basic things we will be using for the future sessions. So first of all, this is an CodeChef website which is used for competitive programming, and we can also practice. As you can see here, we have an home practice, so we can go in this and start with the questions. So basically, for solving questions and maintaining all the records, as usual, we have to log in. So you can either be a new user and enter your username depending on these criterias, and then your email and a strong password. And after filling all these details, you will get an account you will become a new user here. I have already registered here, so I will just use my credentials and just log in. So basically now I am logged in. So this is a so let's head on to practice session and see some of the things. So here you will see a whole lot of questions. So yeah, so now it is completely loaded. Here you can see a whole lot of questions. Each this link points to an question, and these are sorted on the difficulty level. So basically CodeChef has various difficulty levels. The beginner is 0 to 1000, as you can see here, and then 1 star beginner level, 1 star advanced level, and depending on this they have basically 7 stars. And we will start with the beginner level and move further choosing questions. Similarly, if you can see for other websites, there are also some other websites, Hacker Earth, one of them. So here also you can log in, sign up or log in depending on your case. So if you haven't created one, then you can log in, create a new account, and if I have already created, then you can log in and we can go. So for now we will mostly be, for this session we will just take few questions from this code chef, and yeah, that would be our beginning introduction. And then depending on various cases, if I found some new unique questions on some other websites, we can choose them. So let's just start with the first question, which is counting words. So basically I have also not seen this question before. I have not searched anything about this. I have not solved. I will also be solving with you. So let's just start with our first ever question of this session, which is counting words. So basically here you can see there will be a title for each question, which is counting words, and here will be a problem code, CNTWRD. So kind of using this problem code also you can search on the code chef. If we somehow in the future sessions, if I forgot to mention the name or if I forgot to provide the link of this question, you too can search it using this problem code. And I will try my level best to add this question codes or links in the description or the comment box after the session ends. So basically for each question we would have a problem statement which should explain us what we have to do, how we have to do, and a basic real life story. So every question in this most of the contests have a story around it. Similarly, let's just read that story first. So here's the problem. Harsh was recently gifted a book consisting of n pages. Each page contains exactly m words printed on it. As he was bored, he decided to count the number of words in the book. Help Harsh find the total number of words in the book. So basically, here we have an book consisting of n pages, and then each page has exactly m words. So kind of at the beginning level, this story would basically confuse, because when I was also starting, I wasn't getting what is this n, what is this m, and what we have to do. I was a bit of confused. But be with me, you will slowly get how and we can approach. So basically, then would be an input section, output format, input format, output format, constraints and sample, and etc. So basically, after reading the problem, let's just directly skip to the sample. So they have basically given some input and output, and we have to uh, use this sample inputs and calculate and create a program which would return this outputs. So basically, what have they said? In this input format, they have basically explained what all things they have given. So input format is the first line of the input will contain a single integer t, denoting the number of test cases. So basically, if we have to calculate for one element n and m, let's assume there are n pages and m words. So let me just explain this. So here you can see we have an book of, let's say, n pages. So this is one page into n, means we have total of n pages. Each page contains, let's say, 1, 2, 3 words. For now it would be 3, but in the question they have given that each page would contain m words. So kind of, if I have one page, there will be n words. If I have two page, there will be m plus m, kind of 3 m plus m plus m. So kind of here we can basically see, if this is number of pages and this is count of individual page, we can basically multiply n into m. Why? Because m is a number of words for single page and n is the number of pages. So number of pages into words in individual page. So one page have m words, words per page. So first page have m words, second page have m, third page have m. So if we calculate all this sum, so it is basically the product of these two, n into m, where n is the number of page and m is words per page. So single page would have m words. So basically here the question was, we have to basically convert, basically calculate the product of these two things. So here you can see we have n pages and m words, and we have to calculate the product. So let's just see the sample case. So here the first line would be the test cases, which we'll discuss a bit later. So let's assume this 1 and 1. So here each test case, here you can see each test case of two space separated integers on a single line n and m, the number of pages and number of words respectively. So basically first this one, this first value is the number of pages n, and the second value is the number of words per page. So here you can say n and m, and they are given as space separated. Similarly 1 into 1, now we know what we have to do is n into m. So n into m gives us 1. Why? Because 1 into 1 is 1. Similarly, if we check for second case, which is 4 pages and 2 words per page. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, 8. So 8 words in total. So here we can see 4 2s are 8. Similarly, now we have 2 pages and 4 words. So basically 2 4s are 8 again. And similarly 95 into 42, basically 95 pages and 42 words per page. So total of gives us 3990. So basically, as we saw, we have to just multiply. So first of all, we have to take this input, then multiply and then work on it. So here, as we know, if I get only a single n and m value, so let's just try using C++, and then let's just start with Python. It is basically easy, and then we can switch to C++. So basically what I have to do is take the input at first. So let's assume I have just n and m given. So what I will do is I will take an variable, let's say n, and then so let's take the case as a variable and we will take input. So here we won't provide any message as enter the number because automatically the computer will provide us the case. So then let's just try printing the case so that we get what we are means we can see what input is giving us. So basically here are the input currently. This input will be provided to our file, and then here are two options: compile and run and submit code. So basically submit code is when we complete our whole program and we are confirmed that my whole program is working correct, and try it using your internal test cases. So basically there are two things. They give a sample test case which is very basic, and we create a program around this and we try to generate this output basically using the logic. So we can test this test cases using this compile and run. So we can directly compile here, write down the program, compile and run this program. So basically using this test cases we can execute this. But whenever we have to submit this code, means basically we have to check whether our program is exactly correct or not according to their definition. So what do these online coding platforms do? They have a set of test cases which are hidden, which we can't see because they have various kind of edge cases, simple cases, they have everything. So basically these cases are hidden, and for each this test case they run our program and test whether the answers we are getting is correct or not. So basically first of all let's just compile and run this thing, and instead of this whole input let's just assume that we are first we are getting only one space one. So basically single case we are getting. For now we will just assume this. So let's just compile and run. So submission is quit. It takes a little bit of time, and here we can see input we got is 1 and 1 and output we are getting is 1 and 1. So what did we basically do? Just took the input and pasted the same input. Now what we have to do is we have to separate out this 1 and 1. So basically this is now a string. As we know, input returns a string. We have to separate these elements into individual integers. So what can we do is we can use Python's built-in, so just a second, so we can use Python's built-in split function. So input dot split. So what does this does? Let's just compile and run. So basically online submission takes a bit of time. So here we can see we got input as 1 and 1, 1 space 1 basically, and we split it. So we basically separated it depending on the spaces. So here in the split function we can also mention by which we have to split. So this would have this you would have learned, but still a basic intro. So then now we have a cases, but we need this in the integer format. So either what we can do is we can use a map function which performs a set of function, which performs a single function on each value of the second parameter. So I want to perform int on all of the values provided by this input.split. So basically input.split gives me two individual strings 1 and 1. So I will implement int function on that two values, and basically I will get value, basically I will get a map. So if we again print, we would get a map, but we don't want a map. Let's just store it in n comma m format. So basically first thing we get is n and second thing we get is m. So basically input dot split breaks the input because we take a whole line as an input in the Python. Then by splitting using space, we get two individual strings 1 and 1. So then what we do, we take these values and convert it into integer using map function. So map basically implements this first function to all the values in the second parameter. So we basically have two strings of 1. So or let's just take 1 and 3. So this would be more easier to explain. So now this would break into 1 and 3 string. Map will do convert this 1 and 3 into integer, and automatically assign the first value to n and second value to m. This is basically the tuple unboxing, but now we are getting a map, so this thing also works. So instead of printing case, if we print n m and compile, we will get 1 and 3. So here you can see 1 and 3, but you would say at the first case also, while printing the case, we got the same value. So what's the difference? So here we can say, if we now multiply the operators support, so let's just print n multiply by m and I will get 3 as the output. So similarly, if I check for 1 and 1, or let's just check for 95 and 42. So our last test case. So let's just test this. So here we can see we are getting the same value 3990, which we want. So now what we can do is, this works for single case, means if I have two values, then then it works for that. But now I will get a set of test cases. So here we can see number of test cases I will get. So I may get 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 100, 1000, 10,000. So this number will be denoted by the first value. So what I can do is, I can take that first value as t. So t is equal to number of test cases. So I will use int input. So input returns me a string of the number. So instead of string, I want an integer. So I convert it using int function. After that, what do? I perform this. So basically, I have to perform the same function n number of times, t number of times. In this case, test cases, if there are 5 test cases, then 5 number of times I have to perform the same function again and again. So what will I do? I will use a for loop for I in range t. So what will I do? I will perform this function. So I will take n and m for each test case. I will print the value and let's see whether this works or not. So let me just copy this input, paste it here and execute. So it would take a bit of time. So here now we can see 1883990. So basically for this you would have a basic understanding how the loops work. So for each loop, what we are doing is basically we are taking that input n and m and then printing the output product of these two numbers. So basically like this, for each, if I increase the test count to 5 and add one more number, so let's just take 10 into 99 and just compile and run. So here we can see the second value would be 990. Why? Because 10 into 99 would give us 990. So like this, I can create a program for multiple test cases. So this depends. Some questions may have single test case, some questions may have multiple test case. For multiple test case, we can first of all take the number of test cases, and this will be compulsorily provided because we don't know how many test case will any of the function have, any of the test case would have. So this number is always given, and this n and m also will be format specified. So here you can see each test case contains two space separated integer on a single line, which is n and m, the number of pages and the number of words respectively. So the order remains same, n and m. Then for each test case, we have to output on a new line the total number of words in the book, which we are doing, just printing the product. So now we can submit this code to check whether our program works correctly or not, because sometimes these test cases may pass, but the internal test case which the coding platforms have, that won't be passing. So here you can see test case 3 was running, and now I can see status correct answer and the submission ID of no use. It took 0.02 second and each of the tasks were completed. So task 0, 1, 2, 3 all got AC. AC means accepted. So there are various other notations too, which we will see whenever we found out that. So while programming and while doing, if we cause some error, then we will get some another results which we will discuss at that time, so that it won't be too much confusing at start. So like this, I have passed all the test cases and my program is correct as per their definition. So this was the basic program, the first program which we performed to see how these online platforms work and how we work, how we take the test cases, how we print out the things, how we do the calculation, and these all things. So if you have any doubt, you can post that in the chats. So hello KitKat Noob. So if you have any doubts, you can ask, or we can move to second question. Or if everything is good, just put a thumbs up or some message on the live chat so that I can know you got the things. Yeah, so basically got. So it depends. So Vishal, it depends how much time we have, how will be the question. If the question is too difficult, then we may take one or two questions depending on the time. So we will mostly try to be around in 1 hour, means the keep the session for as long as 1 hour. But if a question is too big, then we may extend it a bit until the question completes. And for the starting things, it won't take too much time because we are basically doing the simple questions. So maybe two or three may happen in a single session. So yeah, let's just go back. So let's just go to this practice session and take a second question. Enough space. So yeah, try to read this question, and if you can find, do you want the C++ solution for the previous question? So if you want, I can provide that too. It depends. But basic working, basic program, you would have an idea. So if you want the C++ program, you can just put C++ on the chats so that we can move ahead to this question either, or the C++ version of the last question. Okay, so let's just go to the previous question again and change the language to C++. Now we will be trying the C++ implementation of this same question. So as we now basically know, we have to multiply the two things and take the input. So first of all, let's just work for single test case. So what will we do? This I can pretty much say that these are integers. So if you have some doubts whether it would be integer, floats, or something, you can check out the sample, or you can also see the constraints. So here I can see number of test cases would be between 1 to 100. So it may depend on the problem setter itself. He may give any of the number between this, but it is guaranteed it will be in between this 1 to 100. Similarly, for the n also, number of pages, it is also guaranteed it will be in between 1 to 100. And also for the number of words, which will also be between 1 to 100. So in integer data type, we can store up to 10 raised to 9, 7. So 10 raised to 7 values can be stored in, maybe 10 raised to 9 values can be stored in a single integer. So integer would be fine for this question. So we will just take two integer values n comma m, and we will take the input. So here we can directly use the cn. So cin would work fine, and we will get two integers, n and m. Then what we have to do is basically print out the multiplication, so n into m. So this would be the basic program for a single test case, but what we have to do is we have to execute this for t times. So what I will do, I will just cut this. First of all, create a variable t in which I will take the input of the test cases, number of test case. So c in t. After that, I will similarly use a for loop for I starting from 0 until I is less than t, I plus plus, basic for loop, and then do the same thing which I was doing, the declaring two variables, taking input and printing the output. So here let's just try this, compile and run and see what happens. So here you can see I am getting some value 19908839990. So can anybody tell why this is happening, why am I getting this output? So there will be a kind of delay between your chats and this thing. So yeah, can anybody put why we are getting this output? So I can also show the code too. Yeah, so basically we haven't used end line. Basically what this cout does is continuously go on printing the values. It doesn't stop, it doesn't print a new line as if we do in Python or other languages. So basically, see, just a second, why is this happening? Yeah, so basically if we put a end line, then this thing should work fine. Yes, so now we are getting the correct output. So this 990 is from our unique test case which we just provided. So we'll just submit this code to and see what happens. So here you can see running test case 3. So basically there are multiple test cases and currently the test case 3 was running. So here you can see you got a correct answer and all the test cases are passing. So this was the basic implementation using the C++ for the same question. So let's now just move to the next question, enough spaces. So try to read this question and yeah, I will wait for a few minutes. You can read this question and try to think a bit and then we will start with this approach. So any approaches or anything you would like to say regarding this question? Okay, so let's just see what this question says. So chef's computer has n GB of free space. Okay, so chef has a computer, it has n GB of free space. He wants to save X files. So let's say he has 10 GB of space and he wants to save two files. So each file, so he wants to save X files, each of size 1 GB. So a single file would have a size of 1 GB and Y files each of size 2 GB on his computer. So basically he wants to save two types of files, X which has 1 GB, Y which has 2 GB. So will he be able to do so? So we have to check whether he has that much space to store this X and Y files. Chef can save all the files on his computer only if the total size of the file is less than equal to the space available on his computer. So basically they have also given the condition, we have to check for less than equal to. So which means we would have two operands. One, I can clearly see that it is the free space on chef's computer. Then there would be a total amount of memory which X plus Y files would take. So I have to calculate this amount. So let's see the samples first. So first of all, I will be getting 3 digits. So what's that? So first line contains the integer t, denotes number of test cases. The t test cases can then follow. So they will, I will get a first letter t, and sorry, I will get a first integer t, which will be number of test cases. Then the first and the only line of each test case contains 3 integer n, x, y. N is number of free space, y is number of files having 1 GB data, 1 GB memory, and y files, number of files which have 2 GB memory. So they have also given that same thing. And what we have to do is, for each test case, print yes if chef is able to save, otherwise no. So I have to basically print yes or no depending on the cases. So what can we do here is, let's just create a basic template. So should you want this thing in Python or C++? Or both? So which one is more preferable? We can start with that. And if second one is also asked, then we can continue to that. Maybe let's just shift to C++ till we get the answer in the chats. Let's just start with both. So basically I have a test case t. So what will I do? I will take an integer t, take the value, and then we have to use a for loop. So here, instead of using a for loop, what I can do is I can use a while loop. So you would think, how can I use a while loop? So here, let's just go back to this thing, and so let's assume we have t, number of test cases 3. Okay, so if I use while, so what will I have to give the condition? Either this condition should somehow become false. Okay, we will think about that. So here would be some logic for a single test case. So what could I do here is, I can put a operation t minus minus. So what does this does? This basically decrements the value. So first of all, it would be 3. The logic would be implemented for one time. Then it would be 2. Logic will be implemented again. 1. Logic will be implemented. And if it goes to 0, then what happens? 0 is basically denoted as false, and while loop will terminate basically. So here we can see t was 3, we have to execute 3 times. So here logic 1 time executed, 2 time, 3 time. So kind of 3 time executed. So instead of using the whole for loop, what we can do is we can use this while t minus minus. So basically decrementing t for each test case. So let me just go back and use this while t minus minus. And what can we do is, here we have to now implement the logic. So the logic would be, we have to basically take 3 values. So first n, n x y. So here it isn't compulsory you have to always take t, you have to always take n x y, then only it would work. So let me just take a comma b comma c, but just remember the order in which they are given. So this might confuse a bit, but be with me. I will then at last rename all the things and that would make sense. So I can also take ABC. So the first value would be the n. So let's just first take input ABC, and what will be here? A would be first of all taken. A would have the value of n. B would have the value of x, number of files having 1 GB memory, and C, number of files having 2 GB memory. So basically what I have to do is I have to calculate the total memory. So let me just take total memory, and first of all it would be 0. So that what I have to do is, in this total memory, means first of all I will calculate how much memory this x and y files take together. So for now, as we have renamed this to B and C, so I have to calculate how much total memory does B and C files take. So for B files, I know B into 1 GB. So basically B into 1 GB for each file would give me the B value itself. So what I can do is total memory plus equals B. So this would be the basic thing at first. This can be also written as total. So if you don't know this assignment operator, it is basically this thing. So I will be mostly using this assignment operator, but the same thing is doing this. So we are basically taking that same value and adding this. And then what we have to do is we have to then add total memory of C. So C has 2 GB memory. So if there is one file, 2 GB, two file, 4 GB, three file, 6 GB. So basically we are multiplying by 2. So C into 2, we have to add this value to the total memory. So total memory plus equals C into 2. So we can either provide this in bracket, or if we don't use a bracket, it would also be fine. So both things work. So here, then now I have total memory calculated. So how much memory would the files take? And similarly, I have how much free memory I have in the chef's computer. So basically, chef's computer has free memory A, and we have a total memory, which is the total data memory both the files would take. So what we have to do is we have to check whether he is able to save that files or not. So here he can only save if the total size of files is less than or equal to the space. So basically, if here I can say, if I have to use the condition, if total memory is less than or equal to the free memory in chef's computer, which is A, then we have to print, instead of print it would be cout yes. And then similarly, else what we have to do is, else we can cout. So here we can also ignore this curly brackets, as there is a single this thing single statement in the body, so you can also ignore that. So similarly here we have to also add the end line, or else the same last problem would occur. So let's just, okay, this is kind of inconsistent, so let's make this consistent. So here let's just compile and run for these test cases, sample test cases, and see whether it works or not. So here yes, no, no, yes, yeah, similar output I'm getting. Let's just try submitting this. So here you can see currently test case 1 is running and we got a correct answer. So here everything works fine. So this was the implementation in C++. Similarly, let's just implement this in Python too. So I will quickly go through this. So let's just take first t test case. t equal, okay, just sorry, so t equal to int input. Okay, then what we will do, we can also use this while here also, but what we have to do, t is equal to t minus 1. So it's kind of means it's kind of not good to see in the code. It seems messy, so range would be more usable in this. So then what we have to do, we have to take three inputs, n comma x comma y. So here we will use the same variable and equal to the same function map. What will we map? We'll use int function and we will map the input dot split. So basically split will separate out these three elements written as a string, will convert it into integer and then assign the value. Then what we have to do is basically here I can use more simple if x plus 2 into y. So basically this is the total memory. Why? Because x into 1 gives me x itself. For y, each y file has 2 GB memory, so it would be 2y is less than equal to n. Then I have to print, so I'll basically print yes. So here this yes is not case sensitive, you can provide any yes and it would work. So let's just print capital N and small o. So here you can see, for example, the strings yes yes means the various case, it isn't case sensitive, all these different yes will be considered as identical. So let's just execute this and see. So first of all compile and run to check whether these things works or not. So yeah, no, yes, no, no, yes. So let me just submit this code. So here also I'm getting a correct answer. But let's say if I wasn't doing something correct, so I am not printing no, I am only printing yes. So this is half answer and it is a wrong answer. So let me just try what output do I get or what status do I get if I use this program, so that you have an idea. If you are trying and you are getting this another status, then what is currently happening. So here you can see wrong answer status. So what has happened, the program is giving us wrong answer, it is not giving the same answer as we are expecting. So this is the basic status, wrong answer. There are also a few more status, memory limit exceeded, time limit exceeded, but these are for kind of complex questions. Why? Because there the time and memory matters. Here mostly for the simpler questions you would have wrong answer and correct answer. So yeah, this was the Python implementation. So do you have any doubts or something else you wanna say? You can put it in the comment box. So basically this is the problem with the YouTube, that we can't communicate synchronously because we have to wait for the chats to come. First of all, the video, there is a video delay, that these videos are sent after few seconds, and then you can hear that, you will interpret that, then you will type and send, then it takes a bit of a time. So yeah, let's see if you have any questions or not. If you don't have any questions, so this would be all for this lecture. So we'll just stop here and we will continue with this session tomorrow. Okay, so basically we have how does this map thing works. So let me just go again. So here let's just assume I have input. So I have an input, let's say two numbers, so 5 and 10. Okay, let's just assume these are two numbers which are given by space separated. So here is a space and these two numbers. Okay, let's take multiple numbers. So 10, 15, 25. These are four numbers we are given in a single line. So what does in Python we do? We use the input statement which takes the whole input. So each whole line, so this whole line is considered as a string. So this whole line is inputted as a string and returned by this function. So this returns a string. And what would be the string? This would be the string. 5 space, sorry, yeah, 5 space, 10 space, 15 space, 25. So this would be the basic string which this input returns. So now what I have to do is I have to basically separate out each elements 5, 10, 15, 20. So what I can do is there is an inbuilt method called as split. So if I have any string, I can use dot split and I can here give delimiter. So what does this parameter does? This will see whether this character means basically this is a character or set of a character. So if this delimiter exists in the string, then it will break by that part. So basically the delimiter is a space, or if I just take in some another example, so 2 space 2 at the rate 3 at the rate 4, etc. So if I provide delimiter as at the rate, then 2, 3, 4 will be separated out and we will get a list. So now using this split, I have got a list. So let's assume I have a list of string 5, the string 10, string 15 and string 20. So this is a list. So what does map does is basically it iterates through each of this value. So first of all 5 would be taken, 10 would be taken, 15 would be taken, 20 would be taken. So what does this does? This takes this 5. So there are two parameters basically p1, p2. So parameters or argument depending on what you call. So basically these are parameters. So first parameter is some kind of function. So this function takes a single parameter again. So this 5 is taken from this list and given it as an input for this function. So basically what we did is map int and here was the list of value. So if I have 5 and 10 for now, so what will this do? This will take this 5 and give this, pass this as a parameter for integer. So int 5 gives me what? It gives me an integer 5. Similarly, for next case, it gives 10 as an input. So here 10 gives me numerical 10. So it converts the data type for each of the element. So similarly, instead of int here, you can give your self-defined function too. So if I just create a simple function, so here what I do is I take string h, e, l. So if I take these three letters and if I create a function, let's say func1, define func1, and it would take a single character, let's say c, and what will this do is return c plus at the rate. So this is the basic function, sorry, no semicolon. So let's assume this is the basic function. So what would map do is map would take this func1 and then the list, let's just say this is l. So this would take a list. So what would this do is, first of all it will take h and then perform this function. So after performing the function I would get h at the rate. For the second value I will get e at the rate, then I will get a at the rate. So these are basically stored in some kind of map. So map is an object in which these are stored. So it is similar to the tuple because we can directly unbox this. So I can take s1 string 1 string 2 string 3 and I can directly equal it. So this value would be returned and automatically tuple unboxing would happen and this will happen. S1 will have h0 h at the rate, S2 will have e at the rate, S3 will have l at the rate. So kind of this is how map works. So is the doubt clear? So if you want more detailed explanation, maybe in my channel too, there will be a video related with the map in sharping skill series or maybe in Python video. I have explained that using code and everything, so you can check that out. But just confirm, is this clear now how the map function works? So basically, I learned all of this language programming things in on YouTube itself. I started with YouTube and I am giving back it to the YouTube. It's growing the community, increasing the programmers. Because when we grow a community, that time we too learn and the community learns itself. So kind of it is a two-way communication, two-way learning, because both of us get some of the other thing. So yeah, Python, C++, all of these things I basically learned from the YouTube. Yeah, so basically I have a video itself dedicated for map. Maybe I will try to pin that in the comment. Yeah, I will do that. Sort. Thank you for the suggestion. So is there anything else? So are you enjoying these sessions? Did you felt you learned something and will you join for more questions? So if you have any doubts, I have provided the Discord link and also I have provided basically the community links for Aledutron. So you can join them and you can ask for this. You can ask your doubts there. So there is also a Telegram link and a Discord link. So is there anything else you want from me for tomorrow's lecture? Any feedback or any things you want to improvise or do, such as use this language, only do in C++, do both the language, or do in JavaScript or any other language? Take questions from another site such as HackerEarth or LeetCode, or take some basics. Basically, Python basics and C++ basics are already on the channel, so you can check them out. Basically, if I create the same things, so basically what was I thinking at start was starting with a basic means a tutorial for the coding thing. But what happens is already there are a lot of content present in the YouTube, but there isn't any problems. Means there are some problem solvings, but still problem solving is kind of a thing which isn't yet on the YouTube. Some of the big YouTubers do that thing. They do competitive programming, but not from the basic means how to take input, output, and kind of things. So yeah, that's why I thought this would be a great idea. Yeah, I will do most of the things in Python because it's my first love. I started with the Python itself, and due to that, I am what I am today. So yes, is there anything else or should we end the session? So yeah, if you enjoy, you can share a word or give a shout out to my channel, and also use this tag. So code with Aledutron, use Aledutron in the shoutouts. You can give a shoutouts, and yeah, it would basically help for more learners to join with us and to take more questions, more things, more new various, yeah, more new various questions and implementations and things. Yeah, Python and C++, I will continue. Let's see what happens. Uh, okay, so basically Python and C++ are both needed. So what we can do is we can use both Python as well as C++ for all the further questions. So I will mostly try for doing these things, and let's see what happens. So Python basically provides a lot of libraries which makes it easy for us to work with it. Like as you saw, we can easily manipulate the strings and do the conversion from one data type to another. But C++ is kind of means it's low level language, and it doesn't support the direct data type conversion, but it's to the same. So mostly for competitive programming, this is the best choice because it is the fastest language. So kind of a fast language, not we can say fastest, but comparing with C++, Java, and Python, C++ is the fastest, then Java, then Python. So kind of Python is assumed to be slower, but all the things work. So for DSA, all the three things works. For CP2, all three things works, but most of them prefer C++. But in initial times, I have done the CP in. I'm still learning this competitive programming, but in initial days, I have done this using Python itself. So you don't feel that it is too much slow. But yeah, it depends. Those are the choices. So I think that's all for this session. So let's end this session and meet tomorrow at the same time, 9 p.m. So I will post the link, and yeah, if you have any doubts or feedbacks, you can put that in comment itself if you're watching the recording video. So thank you guys. Thank you for joining. Bye. Let's meet in our next session.